in Sound of My Voice, you sort of were a cult leader or sort of the leader of an extreme group. This one, you're a follower of, a cult group or an extreme group. Was it fun to sort of get to be on the other side of that? And what sort of fascinates you and Zal about this world?
It was hard actually to be on the other side of it. In some senses, like being the charismatic sort of center of something, it's intimidating. It's an intimidating role to play, but at least you're getting to sort of be yourself. What's hard about the infiltrator is that you have this whole interior world that you're hiding from everyone. And so how does the audience then connect with that? Like, how do you find the quiet, private moments in which you get to be real? That was really challenging in this movie. But yeah, Zal and I wrote these around the same time, and we were really interested in the idea of deep cover, really. It's such a fascinating world. I mean, I'm an actor and I love the job, but the stakes are not life or death for me on a film set, if I am caught out being dishonest. But in deep cover, like, you get caught and that may be the end of your career or your life. So it's an intense kind of person who's attracted to that.
Well, the two films would make they're nice companion pieces. They make a nice double feature, I think. Is there maybe a trilogy in you guys? Is there maybe a third one of the undercover world movies?
I think we've explored all there is to do in deep cover.
Well, and Alexander, were you a fan of Sound of My Voice? And what was it like for you to work with this, I think, a great filmmaking team with her and Zal?
Huge fan. And it's just such a good script. That's how it all started. I was wrapping up a season of True Blood. I was about to go on a 6-month hiatus. Read a lot of scripts, some pretty good. I had 2 films disconnecting what Maisie knew that I was doing right after True Blood, so I was already attached to those 2. But I was open from like October and the rest of the year, and I read a lot of scripts, and some good, some okay, some mediocre, some bad. But when I read The East, I was just blown away. It was so smart, so intelligent, so interesting. And I thought it was a great combination of a fun spy thriller, but with so much integrity and so much depth. And so I immediately just called my agent and said, I want to meet these guys. It was the 4th of July. I was down in San Diego. These guys were Zal and Brit were up in LA. I drove up. We met, and I was just blown away by their energy and their enthusiasm and how tough they were, and how they were like we read a lot of scripts, and Brit as an actress, young, cute girl in Hollywood, not a lot of great roles. She was like, well, then I just sat down and wrote Another Earth with Mike, and then Sound of My Voice with Zal. I'm like, why not? And now we wrote this, and I'm like, this is brilliant, And we played around with a couple of scenes, and it's just like, it's always a gut feeling, isn't it, when you decide whether you want to do something or not. And there are moments, not very often, where you're just floored, and you're like, I don't care I don't care what's out there for the fall. This is what I want to do.
This is what I want to do.
The second I walked out the door, I just called my agent and said, this is it. I'd love to do this.
Well, let me ask you a little bit about the relationship between Benji and Sarah in the film. As you mentioned, they're hiding things. They're both sort of have ulterior motives with each other, but at the same time, there is a real attraction between the two, isn't there? What's sort of going on between them?
Well, I think when Sarah meets Benji, she's completely caught off guard. I mean, I think he's sort of cut from the same cloth. They're actually very similar people, but just living on opposite sides of the spectrum. So there's this interesting push-pull between them. Like, she's attracted to him, interested in the way he thinks, admires his strength and his commitment and his focus, which are all things that she prizes about herself. He just sees the world differently, and the more she gets to know him, the more she's moved by the way he sees the world. And so it's a good love story, because the antagonism is inherent in this sort of espionage drama, and then there is also this real love that happens.
Yeah. And there's resistance. I think he feels that in very early on. She asks difficult questions, and Benji's a very smart guy, and a very determined and focused guy, and obviously really believes in this cause, but he's also intrigued by someone who asks those questions, who's actually who can see through all that stuff, and who he really is at the core, and someone who's genuinely interested in that.
Brett, last thing, how awesome is Patricia Clarkson to work with? Is she amazing?
Amazing. I mean, in that scene, there's that scene on the rooftop where Patricia sort of like, as Sharon, really like holds Sarah accountable for her job, and she's like gripping her face, and she's like, "You go back in there and you get those kids." And I was so scared in that moment of Patty Clarkson. I was
Yes,
like,
ma'am.
"Okay,
Yes, ma'am."
I will go back and get them.
Awesome. I love the movie. Thanks so
Oh,
much, guys.
thank you.
It was
Thank
good talking to you. Thank you, man.
Yeah, good to see you again.
Great.